Keith Middleton's Extravaganza on the BBC in the Midlands.
My next guest is an English girl who moved to America quite a long time ago and became a phenomenal success. But guess what? She's coming home to do a tour, and she's coming up Ireland very, very soon, later on this year. It's my pleasure to welcome to our show Julia Fordham. Hello.
I'm so helloing you all the way from California. You're not going to believe this. This is the sound of the waves crashing. Ready?
Go on. Oh, we can hear that.
Can you believe that?
We can hear those waves crashing.
Yeah. So, you know that Joni Mitchell song, Breaking Light, the waves of Malibu. That's exactly where I'm calling.
On Malibu. I'll tell you what, only posh people get there, don't they?
Well, it turns out I'm posh. True story. When I was young and a teenager and listening to Joni Mitchell and wanting to be just like her, a singer-songwriter, and going to the local folk club in Havant. And when she sang that song, I would be like, where is that place she's singing about? And I actually, coincidentally, have ended up living here.
Hello, I never. Well, no, correct me if I'm wrong, you're from Portsmouth originally.
Well, my dad actually was a photographer for the Ministry of Defence, and his first job was in Weymouth in Portland. So we've always been kind of South Coast people who have had, one of those dads who moves around as if they're in the Navy, even though he wasn't in the Navy. He was working for the, I guess, the Ministry of Defence, and he was a photographer. So we started off in Weymouth, which is near Portland in Dorset, and then he moved to the Portsmouth dockyard. And we actually ended up living on Hayling Island. My mum and dad still live on Hayling Island. And when I come home for the tour, which is in a couple of weeks, I'm looking forward to going down and seeing my mum and dad, and also coming up to where else in the United Kingdom. I'm touring all over.
Yeah. You started off as a backing singer, like all singers do most these days.
I actually, I was really doing my own songwriting in folk clubs and jazz clubs, and then I was trying to kind of work out how to move to London and get a record deal. So I was working as a kind of temporary secretary. I was the worst receptionist and secretary that there is. Yeah. And at the same time, looking for work as a backing singer, and I worked with Mary Wilson from the Will Stations. She had a fantastic hit with that song that's called Just What I Always Wanted.
I know it, yeah.
And then I did a couple of years with Kim Wilde, which was wonderful. I got to tour a lot in Europe with her when she was having her big hit, and I got to go, ooh. And then after that...
How did you go? How did it go? Ooh. Yeah.
And then after that, I got my own record deal when I was 23, 24, and then 25, my first song, Happy Ever After, came out.
Yes.
And, it was taken the world by storm in my own little sweet way since then.
How did you end up in Malibu?
Here's my crazy story. I came over to California on my fourth album, which is called Falling Forward. And true story, when you think that what a big influence Joni Mitchell was on me, she had a bass player in her band called Larry Klein, who is an incredible musician and arranger and producer. And he ended up working with Joni, and together they ended up winning Grammys for some of their incredible records. And then I met Joni at an art gallery of her own work, and she introduced me to her husband Larry and said he was a big fan and that he loved my work and my voice and my songs.
Yeah. And
he said he would love to work with me. So I felt like I was kind of starring in some crazy movie. You're meeting your favorite icon and her husband wants to work with you.
Wow.
So my record company at that time were like, well, this could be a great fit, So I came over to California and I made my fourth album, Falling Forward. And then I ended up making my fifth album, East West, here also. And then before I knew it, I kind of just happened to live in California. And now I have a family. I met a man and we had a child. And, we're like and he's an Eastern European guy. And we, between us, have made an American child, a Californian girl.
Okay.
So that's how we've ended up in Malibu.
Do you get back to the UK much?
I come back once a year to visit my mum and dad. And last summer I came to play some gigs in London. I played at a jazz club called the Pheasantry on the King's Road.
Yeah.
And I'm going back there on this tour, and I'm also going all over the United Kingdom, which is unusual because I haven't done a tour of our country for about 20 years, since, like, really my third album. So
hey, I'll tell you what, Julia, things have changed now. We've got, like, electricity now.
And curtains.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready for it, yeah? Do you ever get homesick, though?
I do. I mean, when I come home, and I'm in London or I'm in England, I realise I really am a very English person. But now that I have a child, I'm just, how do I put this? I get homesick. But I'm one of those people that tends to feel at home wherever they are. So if I go to Japan, I'm like, oh, I love it here. This is great. I could live here.
Right.
If I go to India, I went there when Happy Ever After was used for a charity song fundraiser, and we got to rebuild a song in India, rebuild a school in India, rather, and we got to go there on the strength of the song. And, as soon as I arrived there, most of the people were like, oh, blimey, this is so terrible, it's so hot, there's all this poverty. I was like, it's fantastic, I could live here.
This'll do for me, yeah.
Yes, I'm that person. So I'm like, when I'm back in England, I'm immediately like, I must return. I love it here. I could live here.
Yeah. I mean, do you, obviously, when you do visit the UK, time is precious to you. Have you got a list of things to do whilst you're here?
Well, I would normally do, but I'm really concentrating this time on being as good as I can be at the shows. Now, where you are, what's the nearest venue to you?
Let me have a look. We've got Worcester's Huntingdon Hall on the 20th of June. We've got Leicester's The Musician on the 29th. Then you've got the Cheltenham Tither Barn on the 7th, which is sold out already. Bristol's The Thunderbolt on the 8th of July. I suppose the Worcester and the Leicester one are the closest to where I am situated at the moment.
Well, I hope you guys will all come and see me. I've been practicing. I'm doing all my old songs. I'm going to be singing the songs from this album I've just re-recorded with the guy I did my first 3 albums. He was the producer, arranger, and pianist.
Yeah.
And we've just done all the old songs, all the hits, all the favourites, like Happy Ever After, Where Does the Time Go, Porcelain Girlfriend, all the songs I'm known for. We've done them again. And I've opened the album with a new song that's called Under the Rainbow. So I hope for the people who've supported me all the years, it will be a really nice album to add to their collection.
Yeah. Talking to Julia's songs, one of the songs, Love Moves in Mysterious Ways, was used in a movie called The Butcher's Wife.
Yes. Well, this is a funny story about Love Moves. It's actually the only song I didn't write. I happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I was in LA doing a session for the Swept album, which was album 3, and that had the song I Thought It Was You on it, which I think people might know me for. And I got one of those lucky breaks where I got a call to say that Linda Ronstadt had been asked to sing the song Love Moves in Mysterious Ways, and she'd had to cancel at the last minute. And they asked me if I could stand in, and it was like the next day or something crazy.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why not? It was a dream team band, an incredible caliber of musicians who were going to be playing on the track. And I just basically jumped in and had that song, and it went on to be really successful for me. So I'm really glad that I sang it.
When a piece of music like that is used in a movie, does that enhance your career, open some doors, or does it stereotype you in any way?
Well, it's a good question, because, to be honest, what was interesting for me is that, first, I think the door it would open for you if you'd written it would be financially, but because I didn't, you don't even get a performance fee with something like that, because you're just doing something for your record company who already pretty much own you, because anything that you do is going back towards paying your debt for them. So it didn't open any doors in that way. It opened doors to the Philippines, because it went on to be a really huge hit there.
Yeah.
So I've been able to go to the Philippines. It also, having a hit, had a currency to it in itself. So even though I would much prefer that it was one of my songs, I think that I just always look at things, I tend to be the glass is half full. So I looked at it as I got to work with an incredible English producer called Peter Asher, who was started in the band Peter and Gordon, and, you know, a really remarkable guy.
Yeah.
Managed many people in the 70s, like James Taylor, worked with amazing artists.
Any relation to Jane Asher?
I believe that is the brother and sister team. Totally, yes, the brother and sister team. And he was a great guy, you know. I enjoyed it for that alone.
Yeah.
I think in some ways it was a lot more mainstream than other stuff that I had done. I think whereas Happy Ever After and Porcelain were a little bit more left field and a little bit more artistic, I think Love Moves was a real kind of like slam dunk middle way, you know, and that can be good and bad.
Are you regular gigging now in America, or are you being sort of housewives come mother-ish?
Well, I do all of those things. Last year I took a residency at a club called Molly Malone's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I did my own singing evening there once a month. And it was absolutely fantastic because I got to introduce newcomers and had many amazing special guests. For example, one month I had Jane Siberry, who's known for the song Calling All Angels.
Yeah.
She also has a couple of wonderful songs that Katie Lang has covered. I had Tim Booth, who's the lead singer from the wonderful British rock band James. He came and guested. I had an incredible band called Venice, who are currently on the road with Roger Waters and The Wall. Just a really kind of eclectic bunch. So, you know, for me, I would get to be both things. I would pick my little 8-year-old girl, Marley Rose, up from the bus stop in Malibu at 3:30, drive for an hour to Hollywood, sit outside, do her math homework until her grandparents came to collect her, who live around the corner in West Hollywood, and then at 5 o'clock I'd be loading the gear in with the guys for the event. So that's how I get to do both things.